Hello, welcome to this lecture. So, in this lecture, we are going to study the resultant of forces. In the previous lecture, we have seen the fundamental principle of structure analysis, which is based on the Newton's law of motion, and we have seen the properties of forces, classification of static forces, and we have seen the composition and resolution of forces. So composition and resolution of forces is actually finding the resultant force. So now in this lecture, we are going to study what is resultant of force and how do we find out resultant of forces using some rules. So this is the content that we are going to discuss in this lecture. So now, first of all, we will try to understand what is resultant force. Well, there are number of forces. Practically, on any body, there may be n number of forces which may be acting on that body. So for analytical purpose, if we try to convert all those forces in a single force, which will be having the same effect as that of those number of forces, then such a single force will be known as resultant force. So we can have an idea of resultant force with this photo. This is a very simple example to understand the resultant force. You can see there are two groups who are pulling each other using this rope. Now, this group is exerting this much force and this group is exerting this much force. So clearly, this group is exerting less force, which means the whole system is not balanced, which means uh, there will be motion. This group will try to push it, and they will push it towards them, and I mean pulling towards them, and therefore, how much extra force is generated, so that you can see that extra force is 100 Newton, because this is 200, this is 100 Newton. So the resultant force will be 100 Newton, and that will be towards the group which is exerting more force. So that this is the resultant force. Similarly, there may be a building, which may be subjected to vertical forces, which may be exerted to uh, horizontal force, which may be subjected to inclined forces. So all these forces we can uh, we can calculate. I mean, we can convert all the forces acting on the body in a single force. So that single force will be known as resultant force. And now this is the resultant force. Now if we want to balance it, we have to apply a reaction, which means the the surface on which this body is resting, this surface should offer a reaction. Now this reaction will be equal and opposite to this resultant force. So this reaction will be known as equilibriant. So this is what we are going to learn. So therefore, it is said it is necessary to find out the resultant of a set of forces so that an equilibriant can be applied to balance these forces. So that is the mechanism that our building follows. Building is subjected to external forces, so those are the action force, and those active force, which they may be converted into a single force, and that single force will be balanced by applying equal and opposite force opposite to that. So in this second photo, you can see there are two forces, F1 and F2, and their resultant is shown by this red arrow. And now this red arrow, to balance this red arrow, which is the resultant, to balance this resultant force, we have applied the equilibriant. Now this equilibrium is equal and opposite to this resultant force. So why we are doing this? Because to make the whole system in equilibrium. So now the point is, how do we find out resultant force for two or more forces? We have seen in the previous lecture that we can find out uh, resultant of force using parallelogram law or triangle law. So now in this lecture, now we are going to study parallelogram law and triangular law in more detail, and we will see what are the scientific rules that we are going to use it mathematically. So therefore, our next topic is composition of the force. Now, composition of force is again meanings. It is again something related to determining resultant force. Okay. So now we will study composition of force for the coplanar and concurrent force. So concurrent forces are those forces which will originate or which will end on a single point, and coplanar force are those forces which will be acting in a single plane. So that single plane may be xy plane, it may be xz plane or yz plane, but they will be acting in a two-dimensional plane. So first of all, we will study the how do we find out resultant of two forces. So there we are talking about the composition of the two forces. So yes, it is possible to reduce a given system of forces, that is two forces, because now we are talking about the two forces, to the simplest system as its equivalent with the help of parallelogram law of the forces. So to convert two forces into a single force, we can use this parallelogram law. But first of all, before using this law, we will try to understand what is the statement for this law and what is the formula that we are going to use to find out the resultant. So this is the statement of the parallelogram law. So it says that if two forces which act at a point be represented in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from one of its angular point, then their resultant is represented by the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through that angular point in magnitude and direction. So it says that if two forces, again, if these two forces will be coplanar forces, if these two forces are acting at a point, which means they will be concurrent, and then if we represent these two forces with the two sides of parallelogram, then the resultant of those two forces will be passing uh, as a can be represented as a diagonal of that parallelogram. So graphically we can see that here. So in this diagram we can see if this the whole this is the parallelogram which is represented as AOBC. Now side OB and OA, they are represented as two forces F1 and F2. So according to this law, the resultant of these two forces will be passing as a diagonal of this parallelogram law. So this R is the resultant of these two forces F1 and F2. And yes, the direction or angle between the two forces is represented as alpha, and angle of resultant from one of the forces with respect to one of the forces is represented as theta. So now the point is, how do we find out this R mathematically, and how do we find out this theta mathematically? So obviously alpha will be given to us, which means direction between these two forces will be given to us, and ultimately we will be required to find out the resultant of these two forces. So first of all, we will derive the relation to find out the value of R in terms of magnitude and theta in terms of the direction. So to find out the magnitude and direction of the resultant, we will now derive a relation using this parallelogram law. So now we will see how do we, how do we derive the relation. So in the same diagram that we have seen in the previous slide also, now we will do some construction here like this. So the same diagram we have just extended some we have just extended the line OA, and from point C we have extended the line and it is bisecting on point D. So basically now we have got another triangle ADC along with the parallelogram. So now we are doing this construction so that we can derive the relation for the R and for the theta. So now, first of all, we will consider triangle OCD, this one, OCD. So now considering triangle OCD, you can see triangle OCD is a right triangle. Okay. So in the right triangle, we can apply Pythagoras theorem. We can use trigonometrical rules like sine, cos, and tan theta. So as the triangle OCD is a right triangle, we can write side OC square. I mean, we are just simply applying the Pythagoras theorem. So in the triangle OCD, OC square will be equals to the summation of OD square plus CD square. So OC is the hypotenuse of triangle OCD. OD is the base of the triangle, and CD is the perpendicular side of the triangle. Now OD can be written as OA plus AD. You can see here OD is the summation of OA plus AD. Now CD is simply can be written as CD square. So OA plus AD square plus CD square becomes our equation 1. Now we will write the value of OC, OA, AD, CD. So now OC can be written as OC, it can be written as R. So OC is representing the magnitude of the resultant. So we can write OC as R. Now OD is the summation of OA and AD. Now OA, you can see here, OA is the magnitude of force F1. So we can write OA as equals to F1. Similarly AD. Now to find out the value of AD, we know that if this side is F2, then obviously this side will also be F2 because this is a parallelogram. So both sides will be equal. And similarly, now we can find out the value of AD by using the trigonometrical functions. Now, if to find out the value of AD, we can use cos alpha. Cos alpha is equals to AD upon AC. So we will write here AD upon AC. So AD can be written as AC cos alpha, or AC can be written as, you can see here, AC, side AC is similar to side OB. So both sides are same, so they will be having the same magnitude, which is F2 value. So AC can be written as F2 into cos alpha. So that is the value of AD. Similarly, we can find out the value of CD also. Now for CD, again we will consider triangle ADC, and in this triangle, if we write the value of sine alpha, so sine alpha can be written as CD upon AC. So CD is equals to, now AC is again equals to the value of F2, so it will become F2 sine alpha. So CD value becomes F2 sine alpha, AD value becomes F2 cos alpha. Okay, so now putting all the values in the equation 1, we can write. So you can see all the values that I have explained are written here. And if we put all the values in equation 1, then we can say our equation will become R square is equals to Now OA plus AD square can be written as F1 plus F2 cos alpha whole square plus value of CD is F2 sine alpha square. Now you can see F1 plus F2 cos alpha, they are actually the synonym of A plus B whole square formula. Okay, so we can elaborate this value F1 plus F2 cos alpha as F1 square plus F2 square cos square alpha plus 2 F1 F2 cos alpha. So I am just showing you. So there you can see F1 square plus F2 square cos square alpha plus 2 F1 F2 cos alpha, and this value will be written as F2 square sine square alpha. Now in the value you can see this will become F1 square plus 2 F1 F2 cos alpha plus F2 square cos square alpha plus F2 square sine square alpha. So now you can see this term, in this term F2 is common, so we can take F2 F2 square as common, and in the bracket the value left will be cos square alpha plus sine square alpha. So now we know in the trigonometry sine square alpha plus cos square alpha will be equals to 1. So in that case our equation will become F1 square plus F2 square plus 2F1 F2 cos alpha. So this is the equation that will become. So the same equation I have written here. So you can see here the same equation I have written F1 square plus F2 square plus 2F1 F2 cos alpha. Now to find out the value of resultant, to find out the magnitude of the resultant, so R will be equals to this one. R will be equals to F1 square plus F2 square plus 2F1 F2 cos alpha. Okay, so this is the formula that we have got for the resultant. So this formula is derived, and this formula is for calculating the magnitude of the resultant. Now if we want to find out the direction of the resultant, so direction in terms of the theta, so if we try to find out that, we can do so by using again the triangle triangle OCD. So again, to calculate the direction of resultant, we will again using the triangle OCD. Now in the triangle OCD, to find out this theta, we can use tan theta, and the value of tan theta can be written as CD upon OD. You can see here in the triangle CD is perpendicular, OD is the base. So perpendicular by base becomes tan theta. So value of value of CD is F2 sin alpha, and value of OD is F1 plus F2 cos alpha. So the same value we have seen in the previous slide. Now to find out the value of theta, tan will go on the right hand side, and the formula will become theta is equals to tan inverse in bracket F2 sin alpha by F1 plus F2 cos alpha. So this is how we can derive the relation to calculate the magnitude of the resultant and the direction of the resultant using the parallelogram law. Similarly, the resultant of force can also be calculated using the another rule, which is called the triangle law of forces. So triangle law of forces, again we have seen this in the previous lecture also, but now we will see what is the statement of this triangle law. So according to this statement, it says that if two forces acting simultaneously on a body are represented by the sides of a triangle taken in order, their resultant is represented by the closing side of the triangle taken in the opposite order. So again, to find out the resultant, we can use this triangle law. So it is saying that again, if there are two forces acting on a body, acting on a point, so if we are using triangle law, so what we can do is these two force can represent the side of the triangle. So you can see this force I am using this one, and this force I am using this one. So this is done in tip and tail position. So this is the tail and this is the tip of the force. So one force will follow the other. So they are going in this order. So now to close this triangle, this closing side will represent the resultant of the force, and this becomes the R, and the direction of resultant will be opposite to the order of the force. So force is going in this order, but resultant is in the opposite. So that is how this statement is all about. And similarly, this is the angle between the force, which is represented as alpha. This time, this maybe we can say that as beta, this can be gamma. So that is according to the statement. So there you can see, if there are two forces acting on a single point O, so these two forces can be represented as the two sides of the triangle. So there you can see first force, second force, both are going in the same order and they are connected in the tip and tail fashion, and the closing side will represent resultant and the direction of the resultant will be opposite to the order of the force. So this angle is alpha, so I am taking this as beta and this as gamma. So now to find out the resultant using the triangular law, we use cosine and sine rule. So in the 12th class, I am sure you must be reading the cosine law and the sine law. So the resultant can be calculated using the cosine law. So the cosine rule is this one, f1 square plus f2 square minus 2f1 f2 cos alpha. So the same cosine rule, it is applicable in the triangle. Basically, Pythagoras theorem can be applied to only the right triangle, but this cosine rule can be applied to any triangle. So as in our case, f1 and f2 is represented as two sides of the triangle, and if we want to find out the third side of the triangle, so in that case this becomes the formula, which is the cosine rule. Okay, and this alpha is actually this angle. So this is how we can find out the magnitude of the resultant. Similarly, the value of alpha can be calculated using another rule, which is called the sine rule. So according to sine rule, this is the sine rule. It says the ratio of magnitude of one side to the front angle, like the front angle for R will be alpha. Similarly, the front angle for F2 will be this one. Similarly, front angle for F1 will be this one. So for F2, we are taking say gamma, and for F1, say we are taking beta. So in that case, this will be the ratio of this will be equals to this will be equals to this. So using any two relation, we can find out the value of the direction of the resultant. So the direction of the resultant from with reference to the horizontal line can be calculated. So gamma can be calculated by using this one. Similarly, beta can be calculated again using the sine rule. So it depends which angle we want to find out. We can simply find out using the sine rule. So both of these rules are discussed in the 12th mathematics. So those same rules will be used to find out the resultant using the triangular law of the forces. So in the next part, we will solve some numerical problem based on the parallelogram law and triangular law. Thank you.